Back
All
for
right.
week 2. Here we are.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to answer some of your burning dating questions or just burning questions because you're so hot, you're burning.
You're so hot. Do you know the song, "You're So Hot, You're Hurting My Feelings"? Have you ever heard that?
Who sings that?
Her name is Caroline Polachek. It's very
No.
catchy. I'll play it for you next time.
You're not going to sing it for us?
No, it won't sound like the song if I sing it.
Well, then we
It
could
won't.
bypass any copyright,
Yeah.
on
I
YouTube.
was gonna say, it will not help you identify the song if I sing.
What how does it go? What are the lyrics?
It's like, "You're so hot, you're hurting my feelings."
You're so hot, you're hurting my feelings. Oh my.
I feel like that's a good
Okay.
pickup line for someone. "You are so hot, you are
You're
hurting my
hurting my
feelings."
feelings. So therefore, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
So therefore, bye.
Her lyrics are very, very interesting, and I'm always like, "What are these people on when they're, like, writing this?" Like, how does she's another song that's like, "Bunny is a rider." I'm like, "Where does this come from?"
What drugs are
Yeah.
they on,
Yeah.
and how can I
Get the
get my hands on
creative
them?
juices flowing. We did wanna talk about, the White Lotus, because everyone's watching White Lotus right now, and
And if you're not, you should,
you should be.
because Julie was like, "You're not watching White Lotus, you gotta catch up." So I did catch up.
I was in shock when UA
I
told me this is before it's, like, right before season 3 aired. You were like, "Oh, I've never seen it." And I'm like,
know.
"What?"
I know,
I
I
feel like
know.
I'm so hooked. Like, okay, this last Sunday, we got Thai food as we watched, so it felt like we were in Thailand.
Oh, I know. Seriously. That's what we were doing too. We're like in honor of White Lotus, we're going to get Thai food. It's just like I love HBO strategy of releasing them on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So it feels like an event and
Oh
you
my
can't
god.
you can't binge on it.
I have been, like, deep into the Reddit boards, and I'm like, "I really need to find a better use of time at night."
Well, at least you're not listening to the podcast, the official
I
podcast.
haven't. Maybe I will
Yeah.
after. We'll see, we'll see. But we did wanna talk about it relative to our dating archetypes, not just shoot the shit about White Lotus, although we probably would love to do that, and we do that on our own. But we were thinking about, like, okay, for anyone new here, we've created these dating archetypes. You can take the quiz at dateablepodcast.com, or howtobedateable.com is our book. Both places, you can access the quiz very easily. And we created this quiz while we were writing our book, How to Be Dateable, because we were thinking, like, in the last 10 years that we've been doing the podcast, we've encountered so many different types of daters. Well, 5. 5 is what we decided. 5 archetypes that we have nailed down, and they all have a different way of approaching dating, thinking about dating, their mindset, their behaviors, all of that. And what comes with that are superpowers, what makes them amazing people to date and eventually be in relationships with, and also some things that might be holding them back that maybe aren't the kind of attributes that are helping them out.
Yeah, and there's no good or bad archetypes. They just describe us more holistically. We all have superpowers, and then we all have sides that we can pay more attention to
Yeah.
or to recognize them and name them and know that sometimes they may be getting in our way of love.
Yeah. So we thought it might be fun to diagnose the White Lotus cast and see what they are, what archetypes are prevalent for them. I think the one for me that comes up as like the most obvious is Chelsea. She is like dreamer through and through.
She's so cute.
She is. But she's like wants to save Rick. Like she's like, I'm with him because I'm gonna heal him. And
Mhm.
I think she's the prime. Okay, for anyone that's unfamiliar with the dreamer archetype, this is the person that, has so much love to give. They make an incredible partner. They often, though, put others ahead of themselves. They give people
Mhm.
tons of chances. They wear their heart on their sleeve, but maybe aren't discerning of who they give their love to. And I think Rick is like prime, avoidant target that like is not giving
I
her
know.
anything back, yet she's just so fiercely loyal to him and thinks that he is her soulmate, she used. Soulmate in itself is a dreamer tendency word.
Right, yeah, and he is so crappy to her. He just not if some guy got high and released snakes, and then a snake bit me, I'd be like, "Bye. I'm
Or
out of this
left
relationship."
you in the middle of your trip that you took together. You just pieced out.
And won't answer his phone while he's
Oh,
partying in Bangkok. I mean, let's think about that. But she is so it's what makes her so endearing is that she doesn't see these as bad
no.
qualities. It just she sees them as, "Oh, Rick needs my help. He's a project. I can nurse him back to health." But in the end, she is robbing herself of a lot of the love and experiences that she really deserves as such a wonderful, loving person.
This one hits me hard because I had wounded
Yeah.
bird syndrome for a long time. And I
Mhm.
would do this and I'd funnel so much love into people that really did not give it back to me in a way that was like, I guess real in a way, or it wasn't
Mhm.
maybe as, I don't know, one sided. I feel like this kills me because I'm like, you would make such an incredible partner to someone. And if you had someone that was like willing to meet you at that level, like things would be great for you. But it's
Yeah.
always like this chase and game to her because she can't seem to, like, ever fully lock him down.
And what sucks about her as a dreamer is that her trying to change Rick or trying to save him is robbing her time with her friends and family who actually deserves her attention. So what she's actually doing is doing herself and the people around her a disservice because she's spending all her energy on the wrong freaking person.
I mean, I don't know if, like, Chloe and the people like, the brothers are her friends. It almost like I can't
No.
even imagine going on vacation and your partner just leaving you to be
Yeah,
with
no.
these randoms, but okay, she has at least some people to hang out with, but she's not present there. She's not happy to
No.
be going to the full moon
No.
party. She's checking her phone. She's thinking about him. How many of
Mhm.
us have been there before? It is not a fun place to be.
It's not a fun place, but we love her because why we love
Mm,
dreamers, why anybody loves a dreamer, why Rick loves her is because she is so caring and she is so there for her partner and she is so loyal,
yeah.
almost to a fault, that you feel very well taken care of when you're around her.
So Rick, I mean, he's clearly like avoidant and not willing to like put
Right?
himself out there. I don't think avoidant necessarily equals maverick, but I do think he's not willing to fully let her in, which is a bit of a maverick
Mhm.
tendency. What would you call, what archetype do you think he falls into?
To me, he is a typical thinker where he
Mm,
ruminates on these ideas. So this whole thing, he's very focused on,
yeah.
the murder of his father. And he's so focused on this idea that he has to get it resolved or at least have all the information. And that's what he keeps thinking about. But what sucks in this situation is that he is putting the energy on something that doesn't involve his actual partner. So, and also I find that with a lot of thinkers, there is a tendency to hold resentment
Mm.
because you are ruminating on stuff that's happened in the past.
Yeah, I could definitely see him having thinker maverick tendencies. I definitely see some. I mean, it's kind of hard because so the TV
We
show,
don't
he's like clearly like going
yeah.
to kill his like dad or like the guy he thinks like screwed over his dad. So I guess there's
He
like
also
not,
didn't.
yeah, he did
Spoiler
it.
if you haven't seen the
Yeah,
latest
hopefully people
episode.
are caught up by now.
Sorry, sorry, don't yell at us, don't yell at us.
But
He really had to think about it.
he did, but I feel like with her, he's not really like, she had to really push him to be vulnerable, and he
Yeah.
got there, he definitely got there. I think maybe his redemption arc can be showing more of that
Mm.
vulnerability. That's at least my hope. We'll see what happens. I hope he comes back and realizes what a good partner he has, and he does approach this more with a "we" attitude opposed to this, like, I'm just gonna do my own thing and, like, let you fend for yourself and not be part of my decisions at all.
He's such a typical type of person that attracts a dreamer because for the dreamer,
Yeah.
he gives them these moments of sincerity and love, and it's not constant, it's a variable behavior. So for her, every time he does show some love to her, she's like, "Oh my god, he loves me," or "Oh my god, he's great. Oh my god, his walls are breaking down." She thinks it's progress. For him,
Right.
he's very stingy with what he's giving to her.
And for anyone that is unfamiliar with the archetypes, again, you can go to howtobedateable.com, take the quiz, you'll get the full explanation. But the maverick archetype is this highly self sufficient, independent. They bring a lot of confidence and,
Mhm.
they bring so much of themselves to a relationship, but sometimes it is a struggle to let that other person in and be vulnerable, which is what Rick is showing. And then with the thinker, self-explanatory. They tend to be great problem solvers, partners, reliable, although Rick isn't really reliable,
No.
but the ideal thinker is. But then where the downfall might be is a state of analysis paralysis, always like overthinking and underdoing, all of this that kind of gets in their way.
And therefore no action taken when he met the guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
That's true.
it was a lot of buildup for nothing, in my
We'll
opinion.
see. I'm very
Well,
curious
yeah,
what's
we'll
gonna
see.
happen on that one. Okay,
We'll
moving
see.
on. Let's move on to maybe
A
Chloe
3.
and
Okay,
then the
Chloe.
brothers? Okay.
Oh, she's an interesting one. She's an interesting one. Well, I mean, she's so surface
Yeah.
with a lot of this because I think it comes from her need for validation. So we talk about the validation trap in our book, but she is like through and through, just need the validation. Her description of how young men are when they see her naked. Like,
Oh my
remember?
god.
She's like, I
Yeah.
can see their heart beating because they're so excited to be with a woman. It's just so much shows you how much she needs that attention and validation. But in terms of her energy, I think she is very much an energizer.
Yes.
And an energizer is someone who has like like the title, like the description is they have a lot of energy and they like to be around a lot of people. Maybe they book back to back dates and they always need to be on dates. And they are full of life and charisma. So people
Mhm.
love being around them. They probably love parties, especially yacht parties.
Yes.
And they just really get into the groove of being surrounded by people. But what may be holding an energizer back, like Chloe's situation, is there's a lack of depth in her relationships.
Yeah, and also just the go, go, go lifestyle. I mean, she definitely does not wanna sacrifice her lifestyle, that is very clear, and, she's always trying to see who's next, even though she has Greg, but she's, like, looking for the next
Yes.
people too, and, yeah, I 100% agree, energizer through and through. Yeah, like, I'm really curious if she will ever slow down and be like, "What do I want?" Because it feels like she's just kind of on a ride.
Yeah. Right. And she said something in one of the episodes where, oh, I think Chelsea was like, "Why don't you leave Greg?" And she
Yeah.
said, "But I don't wanna start over." I think that is
Yeah.
very much an energizer tendency. Is like, "I've spent all this time meeting people and booking these back-to-back dates. I can't start over. I put in all this
She
work."
might have a little achiever in her too.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
could
can see
see
that.
that. An achiever, is the person that wants to keep progressing, moving things along, get to the goal. Like her goal could be a financial gain too. Like she definitely has both.
Yeah. But who is more of an achiever? Miss Laurie from the
Oh, okay.
trio.
Yep.
She is such an achiever. Her life is defined by milestones. So an achiever, their superpower is that they have a very clear plan for life. And this
Mhm.
is not someone who's wishy-washy. They live life with conviction. They're very ambitious. But what may be holding them back is that they get stuck on the milestones and checking things off and less about being present in the moment of the
Yeah.
connection.
Yes, I agree with you, and we actually put up on Instagram the trio of the ladies of what we thought their archetypes were, and people agreed through and through that she was an achiever. The other one that people agreed with was Jacqueline as a maverick, as
Mhm.
she is, Miss Independent, all about me. Again, the maverick, there's so many great qualities that come with independence, but maybe the part that's a little challenging for mavericks is when there's this self-centeredness that kind of comes in and this inability to let others into their space. And it's the Jacqueline show. No one can deny that this is all about her. She's not really thinking about others. She's not thinking about
Nope.
how her actions affect them. Even her husband, she's not thinking about that.
Nope.
We'll see. We'll see what happens with that, but clearly not the friends, nothing, and it's all about, like, how do I feel the best? How do I feel the most confident? How do I feel young again?
Yeah. There's a level of protection that manifests into not so great behavior. So her
Yeah.
husband doesn't return her phone calls,
Mm.
can't get a hold of him, and in turn, instead of her being worried about him, her first thought is, "Well, I'm gonna go get some action because
Yes.
I'm gonna protect the hurt I'm feeling right now and do something equally as bad when who knows what the husband's doing anyway."
That is a very typical maverick way, and like we talk about in the book, playing relationship chicken, trying to
Yeah.
be that cool girl, trying to be the person that, is unbothered by it. And I'm just going to play games and,
Mhm.
one up the person, and it's me versus you mentality. This, again, is the demise of the maverick if they don't get a hold of it and get ahead of it and realize, like, okay, there's a lot of my personality that's really making me someone, wonderful to date, but this side is actually not really serving me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good. He's gonna find
S
out.
so the one that people are a little mixed on, and I'm actually mixed on this one too, is
Okay.
Kate. And I know
Uh-huh.
we talked about it. You thought dreamer, and I think your logic makes sense, and I want you to share it. But I was thinking about it more. We kind of got like mixed results on people's opinion if they agreed with that. And I
Mhm.
almost feel like I'm like, I don't know what she is because she kind of molds herself depending on who she's
Mm.
with.
I can kinda see that too. She's probably the one that is the least authentic of the 3 of them, which is probably why it's hard to pin her down. I can kind of see her being, like, maybe a thinker too, and that probably
Yeah.
makes her be a
Hmm.
chameleon in some ways. The dreamer side of her, to me, was the fact that she presents as happy-go-lucky, everything's positive, I care about everybody
Yeah.
kind of vibe. But you could also, like, not be a dreamer, but want to present as a dreamer.
It's true. I really am at a loss of what she is. I continue to be at it. But I guess if you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify, basically any platform where you can actually leave a comment, I would love to
Yeah.
see what people think about her because I'm not quite sure. She
But if
she's
we're
baffling.
dissecting the trio this way, it feels like we know her the least, which
Yeah,
could also mean that she may bring the most action in the finale
she
episode.
might. She might.
She's
Okay.
unpredictable.
I do wanna actually talk about, like, the whole hooking up with the guy that, like, your friend has kind of, like I don't know,
Yeah.
like, the whole thing that's going on with
Yes.
them, like, is it
Valentin,
wrong
yes.
that she, like, hooked up with him even though she was, like, trying to have her friend hook up with him? I wanna get into that question, but before we
Mhm.
do, let's also just talk about the last 3 quickly.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's talk about these last 3, the kids, and then we'll knock them off, and then we'll get into this question of, like, what is girl code and what is right in terms of having, your friend hook up with someone that
Mm.
maybe you had claims to, if you even did.
Last
Okay,
3
of the boy
archetypes?
of the guys. Let's sorry, the 2 boys and Piper, the children.
Okay, we're gonna go over 3 more characters from the show.
Yes,
Got it.
yes, and then we'll go into that as, like, a more hypothetical question.
Okay.
Okay, Saxton. I think
Ah, Saxton.
He's hard because I think he's having, like, an enlightenment during this whole time. I would say he's definitely an achiever in work, and I think, like, at the start of it, he was having achiever moments of, like, "I wanna make sure I hook up with girls, and I need to,
Yeah,
like, prove myself that I can do
yeah,
it." But
mhm.
now I'm kinda seeing some, like, thinker and, like, maybe, like, questioning of things come into play after his incident that I don't wanna talk about.
Yeah. Not appropriate for any
I'm
platform really
still
to talk about?
scarred. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. What a shocking revelation. So I'm flip-flopping because we had this conversation yesterday too. I almost feel like he is kind of like a dreamer in some ways
Mm,
because he had this very rosy picture of how his life would be.
mhm.
And it would be follow in his dad's footsteps, probably marry someone like his mom and to have this wife and to have this
Yeah.
family and to have all this money. It's like he had these the story in his head. And now the story is falling apart, which is why
Mm.
he's falling apart because that was what he identified with for so long.
I like that. I like that theory. I can see that, and that's probably why he's drawn to Chelsea, fellow
Yes.
dreamer, and why
Oh,
she might be starting to get feelings for him as well.
I know,
I
because they
hope
can
it.
both talk about astrology and healing stones, like, I can totally see them getting into that stuff.
I think he could be a reformed F-boy because he definitely started off
Yeah,
as that, and I, like, really disliked him, but now I'm like, "Oh, I'm kinda
yeah,
warming up to him."
his arc is great.
Okay, Lachlan. He's also a
Yeah,
very confused
so
character. I
lost.
think he's maybe a thinker because
Yeah.
he just doesn't know. Like, he changes and he molds depending on what sibling he's with. I mean, I really think that he did the thing he did. Again, I'm not gonna mention it because I just can't. Because he wanted to, like, please his brother and, like, be the
Mm,
type of guy. There's a theory on Reddit on that, and I'm fully on it, of, like, it's
really?
not, like, done in a sexual way, but more of, like, his brother's, like, talking about, you know, sex
Oh,
and hooking up
yeah,
and
hooking up with
masturbating,
chicks.
and, like, he was, like, almost doing it to, like, fit in, and then you see him go with his sister, Piper, and he's, like, the opposite. He's now gonna join
Hmm,
the monastery. He's like dating chameleon or maybe a family chameleon. He just like we
yeah.
use this term in our book around, not really just like being yourself. So it's hard to for anyone to truly get to know you when you're just molding to whoever you're with.
Yeah, he's definitely undefined right now. And in all the episodes, you never know who he actually likes, who
Mhm.
he actually wants to hang out with. And he's just, yeah, in that limbo period. But also just at that age, what he's 18,
Yeah.
this is the time to be
Mhm.
undefined and to explore, but you get peer pressured very easily.
Yeah. Okay. Last but not least, Piper.
Piper. Oh,
She's kinda
Piper.
hard because she's had no romantic interests at all in
Mm-mm.
this. She does have dreamer tendencies and the fact that she, like, has this life envisioned of joining the
Mm-hmm.
monastery and, like, feeling like she's gonna be this changed, enlightened person and all this, like, good stuff is gonna happen in her life. I think she's gonna get ahead of herself that way. I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious if that would translate to her romantic life. Again, it seems like from Elise Saxton's perspective, she hasn't had much experience either.
No. No. Yeah, she's a hard one to crack too because she is so young and it's also hard to know, but I kind of get the feeling she may not be sexual at all, and it is her way of rebelling against
Yeah.
her family. There was a scene early on in the season where they're doing yoga. And remember that old man, like, gives her a look, and he's all, like, into her, and she's like, "Ew." I think that was her way of being like, I don't want this
Yeah.
kinda life. This is not who I
Yeah.
am, and I'm gonna rebel against it, and maybe that's why you don't hear her talking about love or dating or
No.
sex or at all. She's
Nope.
completely put herself out of it, out of these
No.
conversations.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm curious what people think. If you agree with us, if you disagree, we want to hear it. I do want to talk about this question though, because I think this does come up in girl groups
Yeah.
and probably with guys too. It's like I don't know, how would you even describe this? Because like, Lori didn't really even claim the guy, but it was, like, almost like, "You should hook up with this dude."
Yeah.
And then the friend sweeps in and does it.
Yeah, because it's not cheating and you haven't done anything wrong, but it is kinda like it kind of felt like Lori called dibs on Valentin and Jacqueline if she didn't think anything was wrong, she wouldn't have snuck him in. So
Right,
she knew something was wrong, right? She knew that was not good. But yeah, it's a hard one because he like he didn't hook up with Lori yet.
right. Although she coulda stuck him in just because she's cheating on her husband, unless they do have an open marriage, we don't know.
True. That's true. But of all the guys she could have chosen from,
Yeah.
she
I
chose him.
I think of this story when I was, like, in my 20s, and there was this guy that was, like, a peripheral group, and I mentioned, like, I kind of, like, liked him, and it wasn't, like, a serious like or anything, but I was
Mhm.
interested, and I mentioned it to my best friend. And
Mhm.
then she somehow was, like, making out with him after and,
Mm.
basically was like, "I don't even like this guy." And it did kind of feel, like, a little shitty because it's like, yeah, like, of course, there's no claims to this person, and it's not like you did anything wrong in the sense that,
Yeah.
like, it's, like, my boyfriend and you went after them. I really had
Yeah.
no relationship, but it did feel kind of like I can get them and I'm gonna, like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Have you ever had a situation like that?
Well, I think on the flip side, because you know the story of our mutual friend has said she had a crush on this guy, and I ended up
Mm,
going out with him after meeting him at a party, and I did feel bad about it because she did say she had a crush on him, but nothing had ever happened, and at the same time, I was like, "It's kind of unfair because shouldn't like, that that means I can't have a fair shot with this guy, like, I can't actually explore if there's a connection just simply because someone had
yeah.
verbalized their liking to him." I still felt guilty
Yeah.
about going out with him. It was a weird s I didn't want her to find out, and she still hasn't found out till this day, so don't say anything, Julie, but I think she would have been really pissed, like, she would get over it, but I think
I think she would have been
knowing
really
her,
pissed.
she would have been really pissed.
Yeah.
So then I kind of was like, "Okay, I shouldn't pursue this," but it's also kind of unfair.
It's a very hard situation because, yeah, like, with Lori, there was real like, it was I get why Lori's pissed because they clearly have, like, a history of her, like,
Yeah,
almost, like I think what it is, it's not about him, really. It's about
exactly.
this, like,
Yes.
one-upping her, and
Yes.
it's, like, kind of like, "Oh, you should be with this guy," and then it's like, "Never mind, I'm gonna be with that guy."
Yes. Yes. It's Jacqueline's history of with her. That's what it is. Yeah.
I wanna know what happened with Kate's husband because she alluded that the same thing happened with him.
I I
I mean,
know, I know.
we don't know
She
what it
kind of
is, yeah.
yeah, they're kind of implying Jacqueline wants what other people have, and
Yes.
then that's how she feels validated, and then she wants people to be envious of her.
So in this situation, do you think she owes her an apology? Like, what would you have done if, like, it was hypothetically your situation, but you're at the White Lotus and this is at brunch and she's, like, calling you out?
If there was no history, I don't think an apology is owed because Jacqueline did say, "You could have also called him, like, you could have also asked him to stay after, but you
Right.
didn't, so I did."
Well, that's the other thing, I guess, like, in her defense, I don't like her, but I'm giving her a defense here. It's like, if you're pushing your friend to do something, and then they
Yeah,
don't do anything with it.
sure,
This
yeah.
actually happened in my other favorite show, Summer House, where, like, there was this guy and, like, the girl one of the girls was like, "Oh, you should hook up with him. You should hook up with him," to her friend, and then she just, like, didn't talk to him the whole night, and she's like, "Well, if you're not gonna
Oh,
talk to him, I'm gonna talk to him," and then, of course,
mm,
the friend got mad because that's what happens.
mhm, mhm.
It's all
Yeah,
seems so
there's
stupid, but this stuff happens all the time.
I just hope that in my 40s and beyond, I will never need to have conversations like this. This is my hope in
I've had
life.
a lot of friends get into fights about random ass dudes they never saw again
No, no, no,
in
it's not worth it.
into their late 30s, early
It's not
40s.
worth it. Uh-uh,
Because I think
not
what it
worth it.
is it's a personal attack. That's where it becomes, and especially if there's a history of someone doing this. I had 2 friends get into a huge fight that they didn't talk to each other for a while because of some random dude, but it wasn't
Yeah.
really about the dude, you know?
Yeah,
And that's
it's
what
never
this
about the
is.
dude. Yeah, it's never about the dude because in this situation, who's gonna date Valentin? Nobody. Like he's not a viable bachelor. Sorry.
So the
No.
question, you know how she was so weird about hooking up with him? Do
Yeah.
you think he also blackmailed her and, like, asked for
Yes.
money? I 100% think so, and she didn't wanna
Yes.
admit it because it, like, looks bad on her, and it, like, undermines her whole, like, "I'm sexy, I'm young, I got the
Yes.
guy," if he just wants her money.
Oh, he's still gonna blackmail her.
Yeah.
He probably has pictures. He can do a lot with what he did with her.
That was one of my favorite scenes, though, of the whole show, outside of the Asian girls scene. That was my top favorite scene.
That epic monologue.
In Rick's facial expressions, but the scene when he's like, "I have Zelle, Venmo, PayPal," and I'm like,
PayPal?
"Dude, this guy's not letting up." Like,
Just
he
wire
is
it.
really getting, and, like, the crazy girlfriend, like, saved her.
I love that he had, like, a specific number too.
Yeah.
It's like $10,000.
Can you imagine if you hooked up with some guy on vacation? Like, it was such great scene because she just finished, and it was, like, 1 second later, he's asking her for
He's
money.
like, money?" Yeah.
It feels so used, and so dumb. I'd feel dumb.
Oh, I would be so pissed. I would be so pissed. Oh god, no. No, those are the stupid things that people end up doing on vacation that they regret later.
They are, they are. Okay, well,
Great.
hopefully you catch this before the finale if you're up to date. If you're not and you're like have never seen White Lotus in your life, like maybe you haven't even made it this far. We hope you
Oh.
actually shut it off and you went to go watch right then and you could always come back later. But if you're just like, who is Rick? Who is Chelsea? What's an energizer? You have homework. Go take our quiz, go watch White Lotus, and then this will all make sense.
Bookmark this video now and come back to it because it'll be a quiz at the end.
You'll be like, "Oh, yeah, he is a maverick," and it'll all make sense.
Well, first and foremost, take the quiz so you know what dating archetype you are. This is for everybody. If you have not taken it, go to howtobedateable.com, take the quiz for free. You'll know what your archetype is, and then you'll start identifying archetypes in your life, your
Mhm.
friends, the people you're dating. It'll be really fun, especially when you watch TV shows like White Lotus.
I love, like, your partner is being like says to you, like, "You're being a little mavericky right
Yeah,
now."
he's like, you're so mavericky right now. Do you wanna bring down the maverick right now?"
It's
It's a
amazing.
term,
It's
mavericky.
great. It's great. Okay. Well, thanks
Cool,
for joining us again, and we can't wait to see you next week.
and we're gonna do this every Tuesday at 4 PM PST, so come back for more.
Bye.
Bye.
Great.
Alright.
Perfect. Light and fun.
Light and
We'll
fun.
see you